It doesn't, only because he got there from a wild scramble. He didn't get there slowly, methodically, and that tells me that it may or may not be repeatable. I like to see something that is convincingly superior to your opponent. I'm not saying it can't happen again, but there's nothing that tells me that this is repeatable.
30 seconds left, and unless Julian is able to pull off a Hail Mary submission at this point.
He exposed his back. Now we're in another scramble with an inside single. He's looking to go belly down. And we're back to side control again. We are running out of time. We're inside of 1 minute here.
Yeah, 10 seconds left here in this round. And like we had talked about, overtime, 3 2-minute rounds. The rules for overtime.
Time.
Which we're about to see. The rules for overtime.
And that's time.
You can grab your opponent and butt scoot once, but you cannot butt scoot after that. And the first point wins here. So 3 sudden death 2-minute overtime matches. Jacob Brown, Julian Perez in our first fight of the night here at Stars at the Fillmore, Miami Beach.
We're at our first overtime. Now we may get a little bit more aggressive. But again, Julian drops to the ground first, which, as I said earlier, is a little bit shocking. He just placed second at the Freestyle Wrestling Championships earlier in the day. So if you wonder what an 18-year-old is capable, this is his second huge stage match of the day. Looks like he's got a little bit of a head and arm, but he doesn't have the elbow compromised. Julian is safe here. What he needs to do is he needs to drop that elbow, because right now, Jacob is looking to choke something in which the size is completely controlled by Julian. He needs to keep that arm intact. At this position, unless he gets elbow movement.
And the problem there with that Darce is he really doesn't have the ability to roll. He's going to roll right off of
Julian's
that anaconda
very well.
Yeah, it looks like
so
he's
you
anaconda.
Can't triangle something unless you can control the size of what you're triangling. He's looking for a head and arm, which is a figure 4 in the upper body. But unless he compromises that arm across the carotid, this is going to be a stalemate. And if you hear his coach over there, that is actually his dad, who I believe is a 2-stripe white belt.
30 seconds left.
Now we got a little invert going with an inside shin. Now there may be some back exposure here. He's lost the hip line. One hook in. He may spin right back to guard.
Coming up and on the last 10 seconds of our first overtime match.
10 seconds.
It looks like we're going to be headed into that second one here in a few seconds. Still having Julian Perez happy to play the butterfly guard game.
Time.
Up to 2 more 2-minute overtimes coming up next.
I gotta say, Julian looks a little bit tired. Jacob looks pretty fresh. Jacob, if he gets on bottom, which you may see a tactic turn here. If Jacob is on bottom, he is a Berimbolo guy from the bottom. Very much a new school AOJ stylist. So let's see what happens here. We're looking for the same side guard pull. Sizing each other up. Good headline defense. Measuring each other. Now the tactics have turned. A little bit of a telegraphed shot for a single or an ankle pick.
And you talked a moment about having that wrestling experience. How much does having wrestling experience really come into play in the jiu-jitsu grappling game, gi versus no gi?
Well, I'll tell you, wrestling, there is nothing that will give you the grit of wrestling. Make no mistake, while I am a huge proponent of the techniques and the leverage and the mechanical advantage of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, nothing is as difficult as a wrestling room. The pace, the grit, the character that you learn, and the work ethic and the grind is unparalleled as to that on a wrestling mat. But now these new school guys are combining the two. So they have the technique and the cardio and the strength and the explosiveness. Now we're looking for a little bit of a rubber guard, high guard, got a 2-on-1. He's got inside elbow. He's got one arm inside the knee, trapped. He's looking to secure the neck, got a little chin strap on the right side. Heads escaped. Now, knee through the middle. He's looking to pass with a knee through the middle. He's not quite high enough. I'll tell you, you would look for the bottom guy to insert his right hand on the outside
30
of
seconds.
that knee and ankle, and he could get a sweep here.
30 seconds left.
He's going to get past if he doesn't move.
30 seconds left here in our second overtime match. One more, and if we don't get a submission or a point after the third overtime match, we'll go to a judge's decision. And the criteria for the judge's decisions,
10 seconds.
the number one thing they look for is aggressiveness, along with how many times did you look to submit your opponent and put him in danger. And I think at this point, if you had to be a judge, who do you give it to?
Well, you know, I'm not a big proponent of that. That head and arm triangle, you know, it's one of those attacks that you shoot so it looks like you're, but if you don't control the arm line, you're
Final
more close to
overtime.
submission. This is the final 2 minute. Let's see what happens. I'll tell you, I would like to see Julian shoot. He's got inside on a double. He's on a chin strap.
That's deep double.
Good sprawl, good sprawl, good sprawl. He's chasing the waist, looking to climb the body. For a wrestler, exposing his back. He just got heel dropped. Self-defense curriculum 101. And he's got both legs in and he's got waist control.
A lot of work and very dominant by Jacob, but no points awarded in that scramble by the referee.
He has double unders. I'd like to see, well, he could definitely go on the hip line right now for another heel drop. Back to the center.
And this is really where that wrestling grit and dig and drive comes from. When you're down and you have to score, you have to drive. That's one of the wonderful things wrestlers bring to the sport, is that constant momentum, that push.
But another thing they bring to the sport is when he peeled those hands, which is normally from ref's position, he exposed his back. He completely did that for the escape, and sure enough, he got his back taken. Good, deep on the hips, nice sprawl. He should chase that and turn the corner. And he's on the bottom. Right now, Jacob could pass. Jacob's looking to get a crossface to prevent him from turning his hips inside. And if he can clear that right leg, he can step over to back control. And that's time.
And that is it. Julian Perez, Jacob Brown ends via the third round.
I'd have to give this to Jacob. And there's
your
the hand
winner.
raised.
He did. He
Jacob,
got 2 points. So he definitely won.
Brown.
Good match. Very good match.
A little bit over 11 minutes that contest lasted here, but obviously